Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 20 of SuperSports, the review series for the vehicles which sit quite nicely between sports cars and full-on supercars. And in this episode we're featuring a very interesting vehicle. It's a car which I've always loved on Gran Turismo ever since we first saw it on Gran Turismo 4. Still though, I must admit, even I, as much as I love the car, don't use it anywhere near as much as it deserves to be. And that is one of the problems which I haven't really addressed before on the channel. I say about all these cars that people should use and that deserve to be used, but the inherent problem with Gran Turismo is there are so many cars on the game that you just can't get around to using them all the time, of course. But for those of you who do fancy trying something different, what does this particular model have to offer you? Well, as I said, it's a very interesting car, and I think it's kind of a shame actually that this car never reached the production stage. It's the 2003 Audi Nuvolari Quattro concept, and basically this car could be very easily glossed over as just a big, bulky, heavy, bloated looking concept car which some could consider just ended up being the A5 Coupe. That is really not the case, because just like with the Le Mans Quattro concept, this is not anything like the production model that ended up looking a bit like it. The Le Mans Quattro is nothing like the Audi R8. It may look like it, but it's a completely different car underneath. And with the Nuvolari, this may look something like Audi's eventual production A5 Coupe, but it's nothing like it. It is not the same car by any means. The Nuvolari is far beyond any version of the A5 that we've seen so far, even up to the RS model, because the Nuvolari would have actually been an incredible long-distance super luxury GT had Audi actually made it. And one of the reasons why I wish they had is that this car would have made a nearly perfect rival for the Bentley Continental GT, which is actually one of my favourite super sports cars. And many people would agree with me in saying that it's one of the best long-distance GTs. You can see that people agree with that by how many of them are sold. It's a massively popular model. And one of the reasons why the Bentley does so well is because it doesn't really have many rivals. You can tell that from the kind of group tests that people put the Bentley up against. People commonly put it up against cars like the Nissan GTR, but the only things that they share in common are all-wheel drive, being large and relatively heavy. Apart from that, the Nissan GTR is nothing like the Bentley Continental GT, and to compare the two is ridiculous because they're completely different cars for completely different purposes. This Audi, though, would have been, as I said, a nearly perfect rival for that Bentley, a big, heavy, all-wheel drive, long-distance, super luxury GT, cost no worry, huge effortless power, and like the Bentley, this car is able to perform in a far superior way than its weight and size would suggest. Now, as it happens, this car is not as heavy as you'd think. It looks like a really heavy car. It looks very big, very bloated, almost like an SUV in its size. But that's really not the case. In fact, with the full weight loss package, this car only weighs 1,240 kilos, which is remarkably good. The engine is a 5-litre turbocharged unit, the same engine that you can find in, I believe, both the Le Mans Quattro and the Pikes Peak Quattro concepts. They all came out at the same time. And this can be tuned to some pretty impressive specs. 963 horsepower and 686 pound-feet of torque. And when you put that into an all-wheel drive body that only weighs as much as it does, it's going to be quick. Now, this car puts out 777 horsepower per tonne and sits at 636 pp. All of those things added up would make you think that this could well be a bit of a monster in a straight line, at least, if not around the track as well. And you'd be right, because this car is crazy fast. Off the line, there is very little that can really give this car a good match. And one of the reasons why is, even though it doesn't have the most power, the weight distribution and the shape of the car makes its launch abilities almost perfect. It actually feels like an SUV in the way that it launches off the line. And one of the things that I know you guys have noticed, because you've mentioned it to me in the past, is that how uncannily good SUVs sometimes can be at launching off the line. And one of the reasons for that is the way they distribute their weight. And this car has that same advantage. It can launch off the line like an absolute monster. The top speed on it as well is almost supercar level at around 270 without NOS or draft. And overall, I would say that this car only really has one disadvantage, and that's the price. This is a 1.25 million credit car, which all things considered is quite a lot for a SuperSports model, especially a non-premium one. But if you have not tried this Nuvolari Quattro and you're looking for something different and most certainly competitive, I would urge you to give this car a try. So, that's it for this episode. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.